What's the beauty of audio? Yeah, audio. Audio.
Okay. A warm good afternoon to you all. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining with us for today's webinar. My name is M. Siva Dayanidhi, one of the organizing secretary for this webinar. I am highly privileged to deliver the welcome address. It is my great pleasure in welcoming our respected principal, Dr. C.V. Deepa, who is always our source of inspiration. I also extend my heartfelt welcome to Honorable Chief Guest Dr. Soni C. George for accepting our invitation. I also welcome our beloved HOD Dr. G. Rajagopal, who was instrumental behind this webinar. And a warm welcome to my dear students and fellow teachers. Topic of today's webinar is polymer, a century of advancement, a very apt topic of the day. The reason is we are in lockdown. World is at the trap of coronavirus. We are in most deadly stage of community transmission. So all countries have now called out to stop all economic activities and isolate ourselves. But in spite of this economic lockdown, polymer is on the global front combating COVID outbreak. At the outset, this crisis gave plastic a major momentum and image makeover among the society, especially in medical fraternity. There is an endless list of polymers in use, right from the mask we wear, blood bag, respirator, sterilization tray, syringe, medical clothing, and whatnot. You name any product, it is a polymer. Even the PCR kit, which is a very popular test kit for coronavirus, the PCR stands for polymer chain reaction. Now, the society also demands polymer currency notes. So it is estimated the negative impact of virus will continue up to 2021. This transition to polymer will face a new challenge, but remains a global priority even in the pandemic crisis. Imagination is more important than knowledge. We welcome the challenges, look for the opportunities in every situation to learn and grow in wisdom. Welcoming every struggle and every challenge may open up wings to fly. The science today is the technology of tomorrow. We extend our arms in welcoming the future. We hope the best is yet to come. Today will never happen again, and we are not born to fail. Optimism is an essential ingredient of innovation. Today, we have highly distinguished Professor Dr. Soni C. George, Dean Research from Amal Jyoti College of Engineering, Kottayam, as a resource person. He is an accomplished scientist with several research works to his credit. Scientists are true driving force for the civilization. Today, we are highly privileged to have an opportunity to listen to him this evening. So on behalf of all who gathered here, I welcome you, sir, to this house of webinar. I hope our desires, hope, and dream will come true. Now, I call upon Principal Ma'am to deliver the presidential address. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sivanidhi. A very good afternoon to all professors and students. Hope all of you and family are safe and healthy. It is my pleasure to say that we have participants from all over India, and I welcome all of you to this wonderful national webinar series starting today for 5 days, organized by the Department of Chemistry, CGAC Tirupur. I appreciate the efforts taken by the head of the department, Dr. Rajagopal, the IQAC department coordinator, Dr. Sampath, the organizers, Dr. Siva Dayanidhi, Dr. Kaniyappan, and Dr. Sujata, who have made it to this level, and for bringing in expert and eminent person like Dr. Soni C. George, who is the Dean of Research at Amal Jyoti College of Engineering from Kerala. Actually, I went through his profile where he's focusing on graphenes and nanopolymers. And frankly speaking, I felt that he is supposed to be placed in a good university or any central government laboratory because his projects completed, the papers published, and the research expertise speaks volumes. And I thank you and wish him all the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All of us are going through a tough time due to COVID-19 and the subsequent lockdown. The economic growth, development activities, health management, transport, and most importantly, education are all disrupted. Students who always wanted freedom are affected tremendously. They are forced to stay away from their most loved place, the classroom and college. They are unable to meet their friends and teachers and are scared about the curriculum, examinations, and their future. At this juncture, our professors came forward and tried to reach out to students through online mode, uploaded materials, conducted quizzes, motivational talks, and morally boosted the students. Thanks to the advancement of technology and teachers for the full support. Although online class is not a replacement of traditional classroom teaching, students of our college, particularly the students of science stream, who are smart enough with smartphone, upgraded themselves and attended the sessions arranged by their respective tutors with keen interest, overcoming the barriers of internet facility. Actually, the lockdown situation has created an opportunity for us to connect to distant and distinct people throughout the globe for the now popular webinars until now who are out of reach. Remember that if you stay positive in a negative situation, you win. I express my heartfelt thanks to the distinguished speaker who will be talking on polymers, a century of advancement, which means that he would be, and I hope that he would focus on current developments with special emphasis on degradation. It seems that life would be difficult without polymers because we have got used to it. On one hand, due to COVID, when pollution has been controlled due to less commutation, less traffic and automobiles. On the other side, we see the utility of masks, gloves and polythene coats increase that may cause management problems. The recycle, reuse and degradation methods should be taken care of, and I feel it is the responsibility of every person to change their attitude and realize and help in saving the ailing Mother Earth. I hope this webinar will be very useful and all of you would be benefited. So have a nice day. Thank you.
Ma'am, I would like to call Dr. K. Kaniyappan, sir. Please introduce the speakers.
Good afternoon to one and all gathered here. On behalf of the Department of Chemistry, Chikana Government Arts College, Tirupur, I would like to welcome you all for the webinar on polymers, a century of advancement. It is my great pleasure and privilege to introduce the resource person of today's webinar, Dr. Soni C. George, Dean Research, Amal Jyoti College of Engineering, Kanjirapalli, Kottayam. Dr. Soni C. George completed his PG and PhD in the field of polymer science at Mahatma Gandhi University, Kerala. He also did his MBA HR at Pondicherry University. His field of interest includes polymer nanocomposites for supercapacitors, recycling and reuse of waste plastics and rubbers, elastomer cross-linking, water purification, and tribology of polymer nanocomposites. He did his postdoctoral research at University of Blaise Pascal, France in the year 1999 and in the University of Inga, South Korea during the year 2006-07. He started his teaching career at Crescent Engineering College in the year 2000 and he moved to Amal Jyoti College of Engineering in the year 2001. He served there at various capacities like professor and head director for nanoscience and technology, and currently he is holding the position of Dean Research. He has received more than 10 awards, including ISCA Young Scientist Award, IST Best Faculty Award, KTU Researcher Award, IJHE John Pocris Best Citation Award, and SER Visiting Faculty, and so many. He has published 191 research papers at various reputed international and national journals. He is also a reviewer of various high impact factor journals. He has completed various research projects from different funding agencies for a tune of more than 2 crores. With this introduction, I would like to invite our renowned personality, Dr. Soni C. George, for delivering the lecture on Polymers, a Century Advancement. Sir, now the forum is yours, please.
Thank you. Thank you all for my nice introduction and the hearty welcome. Respected Principal Dr. C.V. Deepa, Convener and Head of the Department Chemistry, Dr. G. Rajagopal, is my beloved friend, and the members of the organizing committee, Professor Shivadeyanidhi, and Dr. Sujata, Dr. And all other members of the faculty members, and delegates, participants from various colleges, and the members of the Chicken Government Arts College. I'm happy to see that Chicken Arts Government Arts College is organizing webinar, a 5-day webinar for the fruitfulness of the students as well as faculty members. And respected Madam also mentioned that there are a lot of activities during this COVID time for the conduct of classes. Other than that, there are interactive sessions, quizzes, discussion forums were arranged. So really, my congratulations to all, headed by Principal Madam and all members of the faculty of the college as well as the Department of Chemistry for wonderful conduct of classes during this COVID-19. I'm going to talk you some of the thoughts with the polymers, a century of advancement. Why I have taken this topic, because there is some importance in this level. Because year 2020 marks the 100th anniversary of the publication of the concept of formation of polymers by covalent linkages of monomers. It was actually reported by the father of polymer chemistry, Professor Hermann Staudinger, a German scientist, in his publication on polymerization in June 1920. The concept has actually revolutionized the world of polymer science and its impact on human being in tremendous way. And we know that the polymers, product made from polymers are all around us. Clothing made from okay. So I will go to my presentation now. So we'll have some introduction about this 100th anniversary of the milestone, landmark concept of Hermann Staudinger and the different development stages of polymer science, and finally I conclude with the current status. And before that, I would like to share some of the introduce my college to you. I belong to Amalajodi College of Engineering. It is situated at Kanjaripalli, about 55 kilometers away from the town. And we have a UG as well as PG program. 11 BTech program we have, including automobile, civil, chemical, computer science, electronics, food technology, information technology, mechanical engineering, metallurgy, and food technology. And among the postgraduate courses, we have 9 postgraduate programs with communication engineering, computer science, computer-aided structural engineering, energy system, power electronics and power system, machine design, structural engineering and construction management, nanotechnology, environmental engineering. In addition to that, we have master computer application program too. So we have also a center of research affiliated to Abdul Kalam, APJ Abdul Kalam Technology University. We have 15 research labs. We are supervising students in different areas of engineering and science. So polymers, when coming to my topic, the polymers, Lord Todd in 1980, he shared that, I am inclined to think that the development of polymerization is perhaps the biggest thing that chemistry has done, where it has had the biggest effect on everyday life. So Lord Todd was a Royal Society president, and he's a Nobel Prize winner, and he's sharing that this is polymerization is one of the biggest biggest invention in the field of mankind, and it has revolutionized and made impact in all aspects of human life. And we can see that polymer is everywhere. As Madam as well as the Dr. Shiva Dehanidhi are mentioning that about the mask, personal protective system and all are made of polymers. Actually, even if it is cotton is a polymer, natural polymer. The household items we are using, the computer desk, the automobile parts, as well as we can see the aeroplane, rockets, or whatever we are coming in contact with, encountering everyday life, we can see that all have a polymer touch. So we cannot ignore the presence of the importance of polymers from our life. Food packaging, transportation, electronics, construction, clothing, medical supplies, manufactured goods, like that it is going on. And here this year, 2020 is celebrating the 100 years of polymer science, Hermann Staudinger's 1920 manifesto. And within this century, polymers have greatly changed the human life based on the hypothesis made by Hermann Staudinger, the German scientist. And when we look into the lives of this Hermann Staudinger, the German scientist, he is known as the father of polymer chemistry. He born in Worms, Germany in 1881. And he studied chemistry at the Technical University, Germany. And he received his PhD in organic chemistry from the University of Halle, Germany in 1903. In 1905, he discovered the first ketene, diphenyl ketene. He was actually a good organic chemist. Later, he synthesized the isoprene and butadiene, and research was done in the field of polymerization of ketene. So during that work, he developed the concept of polymerization, and he found that the polymer molecules are actually formed by covalent linkages. The monomers are linked by covalent bonds, and they are low molecular and possess high molecular weight. And he presented his hypothesis in the seminal paper, Huber polymerization, published in Staudinger provided ample experimental evidence investigating the reactivity of rubber and using viscometry to measure molecular weights. But we can find that there are a lot of stringent resistance from colleagues. And up to that time, people were believed that polymers are colloidal particle, minute colloidal particle, aggregates of minute particles. And but this concept was slowly accepted in the late 1920s and early 1930s. And you can see that in this picture, Staudinger is holding a structure of the polymer molecules. He got the inspiration from the Kekulés work, the structure of benzene. And he found that the benzene is a 6-membered ring joined by carbon atoms are joined by covalent bonds. And one of his colleagues told him that, my dear chum, give up your ideas on big molecule. There are no organic molecules with a molecular weight of more than 5,000. Just clean up your products and they will crystallize and reveal themselves as low molecular weight compounds. But Staudinger, because of its steadfastness and perseverance, he succeeded in convincing the scientific community that the polymers are high molecular weight, long chain molecules. And when we come back to the origin of polymer science, the concept in 1853, the Berthollet reported the thermal and catalytic polymerization of pinene. And 1869, he published his results on polymerization of ethylene, propylene, pentene, and pinene. Later, even before that, Faraday in 1826, he found that ethylene and butene differ in their gas density, but their elemental composition is same. And he found that butene is a polymer of ethylene. And later in 1861, British chemist Thomas Graham, he noted that when he was dissolving some organic compounds like cellulose, he found that some sticky residues were found. And he found that it cannot be purified into crystalline form. So Graham thought that it was colloids, like that the term colloids come to polymers. But Staudinger adopted the definition of bacillus. For Staudinger, polystyrene was a polymer of styrene. However, he objected to use this term for products of polykondensation. And later in Carothos in 1929, who gave a general definition of the term. He defined the term as substances whose structures may be represented by RRR. It's a long chain molecule where R is a bivalent radical in which general are not capable of independent existence. So these are the historical milestone, the different in the beginning of this polymer science, steps in the inventions of polymer. 1845, Sean Bean invented the nitration reaction. 1848, colloidal films and nitrated cellulose. 1862, Parks found out this Parkesine, added camphor on this cellulose and cellophane. 1870, Wesley Hyatt prepared these billiard balls. 1884, Chardonnay discovered the extrusion process. 1890, we can find a cross and they have regenerated cellulose were prepared. And 1905, Bakelite, he tried to prepare this Bakelite, first attempt, first thermoset. 1920, Schrödinger, the macromolecular hypothesis, like macromolecular chemistry was originated. 1920 onwards, we can find many thermoplastics were found. So there are not only synthetic polymer, we have a lot of natural polymers were using cotton, wool, silk. Here you can find many mulberry trees with a silk stem. So they are using it for silk fiber. And cotton were using extensively for preparing products. They are natural polymers. Then we can some history regarding these biopolymers. Protein, animal hides, we are using it for making fiber and films. Ligaments, collagen is a polymer, it's hinges found in. Silk fibers, they are found as fibers. Plant fibers like cellulose, they are existing as fibers. Structural material like high modulus cellulose and lignin found in wood. Then keratin tools, they are using for jewels, jewelry and weapon. Horn, we have another protein, it is keratin, that is also polymer in nature. Then tusk, enamel and dentin, so they are also polymer in origin. And if you look at the milestone, the history of timeline, we can find that in Stone Age we have in 10,000 BC it is agriculture first generated. Then Bronze Age we can find the wheel found out. Then writing generated, glassware also started to use. Iron Age we were using mainly metals, the metals. In Middle Ages we were using paper. But in modern age we have printing press, Industrial Revolution, then polymer age, 1900 onwards, we can find using lot of plastics and polymeric products. And 1839 is one of the landmark day in the history of polymer science, where Charles Goodyear first discovered the process of vulcanization. Thereby, world over, there are a lot of tire industry started up. The automobile industry boomed up. And the people started using vulcanized rubber in several areas. And Sean Bean is cellulose was found to be a polymer and nitrated cellulose. So this modification of polymer started. Then we have nitroglycerin, it is a explosive using gun cotton. It is also nitrocellulose using for as an explosive. Parks and his product is known as Parkesine. He is modified using camphor. Cellulose was modified using several items in that, and he displayed the items. You can see that it was displayed in the town. Then Hayat, he found several objects he made from cellulose, blended nitrocellulose with the camphor. So he prepared a lot of durable, colorful, and moldable thermoplastic known as celluloid in 1868. Celluloid was first commercially successful semi-synthetic plastics. So it was using for making billiard balls, shirt collars, eyeglass frames, pen housing, etc. So you can see that the people were celebrating with the celluloid. Then regenerated cellulose was developed during that time. Cellulose was purified and continuously rain was also, so that was using for making textiles and all. And when you look at the periodic table, we can find that only very few elements were using for making polymers, like a carbon, nitrogen, especially carbon. Most of the polymers are organic in nature. And there are some inorganic polymers. So the polymer containing carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Other than that, we can find the silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, even chlorine and fluorine. But most of the other elements are not come to this polymeric in origin. And when you comparing this material comparison, we can metals, their composition, we can see elements and compounds, crystalline, they are metallic. Then ceramics, you can have a combination of metals and non-metals. They have compounds or mixtures of compounds. They are crystalline or amorphous in nature. They are ionic or natural covalent in nature. But when you come to polymers, they are non-metals, mostly existing as compound, mostly amorphous. We have covalent bonds with the weak intermolecular forces. And when you look at the backgrounds, the history, we can find out that the people replaced wood, ceramics, and glass, and iron, and other metals, and they embraced the polymers for making articles in their day-to-day life, or in engineering, or in industry. This is because polymers are easy to process. They can be molded in any form. They are cheap, lightweight, tough, flexible, transparent, and we can make any article out of that. We can mold into any shape. And when we come to the beginning of the century, 1907, Leo Baekeland, he prepared the bakelite from first thermosetting plastic, first synthetic plastic from a laboratory. Phenol and formaldehyde combined by a reaction, condensation reaction, we can find that there is a cross-linked network structure was formed. We call them phenol formaldehyde resin. It's the first synthetic plastic. And many useful items were made from this thermoplastic, bakelite. Radios, telephones, and electrical insulators were made of bakelite in the past due to its insulating and heat-resistant properties. In 1917, Polanyi, he actually modified the cellulose, used X-ray crystallography to discover the chemical structure of cellulose, a long chain molecules. So up to that time, these X-rays were not used to analyze the structure of materials or polymeric structure especially. And 1920, Hermann Staudinger, his classical paper, Weber polymerization, present the world the development of the modern polymer theory. And he was actually interacting with the industries, a lot of industry to obtain funds for his research, and worked as a technical consultant for firms interested in plastics and rubber. And he was really working on, so he started an institute for macromolecular chemistry, and he started a journal known as Macromolecular Chemistry, and he has done a lot of work in from 1920 onwards. Actually, he embraced this polymer chemistry, and he stopped working on organic molecules. In 1927, we can find the large-scale production of polyvinyl chloride, PVC resins begins. This is one of the important inventions in the field of human being. So we can find many objects from this polymer PVC for pipes, even doors, electrical items, then hoses. And we can find initially it was prepared in 1835, but on December 11, 1935, another scientist in Ohio, Dr. Semen, made a pressable PVC by using plasticizer. So that up to that time, this PVC was a very crude, rigid material, but this PVC made from using plasticizer, that was first time by Goodrich scientist, B.F. Goodrich scientist Salmon, Dr. Salmon, he made it, and it made easy for the people for making use as a pipe in and other areas of applications. Then a confirmation of macromolecular theory by Sid Wells in 1925. He succeeded in measuring the molar mass of a polymer by ultracentrifugation. It is a ultracentrifugation and measurement using to measure the Z average molecular weight of the polymer. We have the high molecular mass of the polymer is determined by this method. Then we have injection molding machines also come into effect. 1927, Eckert and Ziegler patented first commercial modern plastic injection molding machine. So a lot of items were made from this injection molding machine their own ways. And another important scientist who made contributions in the field of polymer is Hermann Mark. So he's actually worked on the structure of polymers. Along with Staudinger and Carothers can be credited as a co-founder of polymer science. Mark has trained as an organic chemist. His PhD thesis was on the chemistry of free radicals under the supervision of Schlenk. So with the polyanion, Mark began to explore the technique of crystallography. So he used X-ray techniques to study the organic molecules as well as polymer molecules. So he was chosen cellulose fiber. So they found that cellulose fiber upon stretching leads to increase in modulus using X-ray technique. So this is Hermann Mark. X-ray crystallography of macromolecule to show that a molecule could be larger than its unit cell. And then in 1930, polystyrene were invented. Polystyrene is one of the important material using for making lot of application, especially the modified form. We have styrofoam we can find. Earlier we were using in home wood TV cabinet in 1939. 1948, phenolic TV cabinet were used. But in later, nowadays, we are using high-impact polystyrene TV cabinet. So expanded form, polystyrene can be used for making foam and it will be more lightweight and can be used for many articles. These are the styrofoam. The cups for drinking water. So this can be formed from various form products can be made from this polystyrene formed product, including this TV cabinet and all packaging materials. And another major scientist who contributed in polymer science this time, Wallace Carothers. So it is actually the beginning of a polymer synthesis. He's a polymer synthetic chemist. So 1931, he synthesized polychloroprene and polymerized a new synthetic rubber called neoprene. Polychloroprene is also known as neoprene. And during that time, 1933, Crawford at ICA UK developed first commercial synthesis of polymethyl methacrylate. So it is also known as plexiglass. So we are using widely for various glass applications, wind sheets, and also for contact lens, optical applications. So PMMA started using in different applications there onwards. Then coming to the invention of nylon. So you can see a picture with a Carothers who is standing in a laboratory. So he in 1927 he got a job in that DuPont lab. And so in 1929, Carothers and his group succeeded in making low molecular weight aliphatic polyesters by polycondensation reaction. The first time these polycondensation reactions were used by Carothers and his team. And this is, you can see, he's a molecular still and shifted to polyamides. So he started working on polyesters like polyethylene terephthalate, aromatic polyesters. So different types of polyesters he tried, and later he moved it to polyamides. And these are the nylons he prepared in the laboratory. 1930, you can find adipic acid and the hexamethylene diamine combined together to form nylon 6,6. Wallace Carothers of DuPont company produces nylon. So nylon, it was one of the best material prepared in that time. And the nylon parachutes were made in during the Second World War using nylon. And this is another scientist, co-worker of Carothers, Julian Hill, reenacting the discovery of nylon using this hexamethylene diamine and adipic acid. And during that time, injection molding machines were also introduced in a modified form of injection molding machine with a closed mold cavity. And earlier it was actually in Europe it was available, but in US it was not available. Then it was importing from US, UK. But so in the first time they were started using in US this one by HP Corporation, Ohio. You can find an advertisement regarding this nylon application. DuPont announces for the world of tomorrow, nylon. So let me read the announcement. I am making the announcement of a brand new chemical textile fiber derived from coal, air, and water, and characterized by extreme toughness and strength. So Charles Stein, VP for research, DuPont 1938. So these are the items we can make. Some of the items we can make from nylon. You can find many items we can make from this nylon waste. And another it's a modified form of multiple injection units. Earlier they were a single injection molding machine using, but here you can find many multiple injection units were joined together. So that was happened in 1939 by HPM Injection Molding, HPM Corporation. So they have a total shot capacity of 32 ounces, and it was used to mold a very large automobile dashboard parts shown above. So this is an automobile parts prepared using this multiple injection molding machine. And in 1940, you can see polyethylene. Use of polyethylene in radar was found out. And also first production of PVC, polyvinyl chloride, started in UK. And DuPont also introduced another polymer known as polyacrylonitrile. Then polyethylene terephthalate made by the condensation reaction of ethylene glycol and terephthalic acid in 1941. So it was known as the commercial name Dacron. It was prepared by DuPont. So there are biaxially oriented film is also. It is also known as Mylar. It's also widely used. So you can see that a lot of the bottles are making out of this polyethylene terephthalate. Even textile fibers, textiles were also made from polyethylene terephthalate. It's a polyester compound. And in 1948, a super glue was prepared from methyl cyanoacrylate. It was first discovered by Dr. Harry Hoover, Eastern Kodak. But during that time, a great event was also occurred. Florian Hagens proposed the first theory on the behavior of polymers in solution. Up to that time, there was no idea about what happened when a polymer is in contact with a solvent. So that extensively, Florian Hagens really studied on this aspect, and they have made good contributions in this level. So they have made 2 volumes of, they have written in 2 volumes of the book known as Principles of Polymer Science. It's known as the Bible of Polymer Science. Another major contribution in the field of molding industries made by I.G. Cornerstone, a toolmaker from Detroit, 1943. He came up with the concept of producing standard mold bases having interchangeable components. So earlier it was not, the mold is a fixed one, closed one, but the interchangeable components of the mold was introduced in 1943. Then polytetrafluoroethylene was first introduced by another DuPont scientist, Dr. Roy Plunkett. And this is actually a slippery and chemically resistant plastic. So initial discovery was done in 1938, but the commercial production of DuPont Teflon did not occur until 1946. So we know that this Teflon is widely used for non-stick cookware applications and table insulation, but it used in a wide variety of other unique applications. And 1951 was another beginning of a new polymer blend, you can say copolymer, thermoplastic known as ABS, short for polyacrylonitrile butadiene styrene polymer. So you can see that ABS, the helmets, they're made from ABS plastic. ABS is widely used in the application where toughness is required. So the one of the main use of this ABS is football helmets, which are now made from polycarbonate. ABS is most widely used for consumer electronics, business machine housings. Then later, General Motors introduced Chevrolet Corvette in 1953. So you can see that they have used the glass fiber reinforced plastics as a body material. In 1953 models of the cars. 2003 50th anniversary Corvette car as well as the 1953 one. But the body was made from a glass fiber reinforced plastic composite FRP material. And in the laboratory, polymer productions were done in a simple way at low temperatures mostly. And polyethylene was prepared like that. Low density polymer, most widely used plastic. In 1890 itself, polyethylene were prepared. 1930 UK company, the ICA company, chemical reaction, they under pressure they prepared this polyethylene in presence of benzaldehyde. But later in 1941, more arranged low density polyethylene were prepared in 1941. And we can see that a lot of applications, polyethylene bags, carpets, then Ziploc covers, and in many cables, a lot of application we can find. Even now we are using this polyethylene in our day-to-day life. So these are, you can polyethylene pellets, polyethylene pipes made from tubes, polyethylene bottles, polyethylene sheets, polyethylene covers. But is there some problem with the propylene? Propylene was not able to polymerize in a similar way. So what is the solution for that? Here we are the polyethylene well organized. We get a linear density polyethylene well arranged. Polymer they synthesized and using high temperature and high pressure in laboratory. But propylene was not able to prepare. We are getting only just oligomers. Scientists were found it difficult. But that problem was solved. No, completely linear polyethylene was prepared by using metal oxide catalyst. Hogan and Banks, they prepared polypropylene also, and linear polyethylene at low pressure using metal oxide catalyst. These are the two scientists. But this metal oxide, even then that property was, it was again fine-tuned by another two important scientists known as Ziegler and Natta. See, both they were famous for their catalysts, Ziegler and Natta catalysts. These are Ziegler and Natta catalysts. Two sets of Ziegler and Natta catalysts were tetra or trichlorides of titanium and trialkyl aluminum. Here we have titanium tetrachloride and triethyl aluminum. They were used to prepare some special compounds known as stereoregular polypropylene. We can find out that Natta and his co-workers in the laboratory, they are working on this polymerization. Actually, Natta and Ziegler are actually from different countries, but they simultaneously worked together, and they prepared a special kind of polypropylene with we call it is isostatic polypropylene. So some stereoregular crystalline polypropylene were made using these stereoregular polymers, stereoregular catalysts, Ziegler-Natta catalysts. And both these scientists got Nobel Prize for this for the invention of this catalyst, Ziegler and Natta catalyst. And this is another scientist I mentioned in between. They are Paul J. Flory, P.J. Flory. It's an American polymer chemist who was awarded 1974 Nobel Prize for Chemistry for his fundamental achievement, both the theoretical and experimental contributions in the physical chemistry of macromolecules. So he explained very well the property of polymers in solvents and also the behavior of polymers, the swelling of polymers, and also the processing and their molecular weight aspects. So the contribution is so big. That is why the Nobel Prize Committee awarded the Nobel Prize in 1974. And when to commercialization of polyester fibers, it was introduced a drip, dry, and no-line concept during this time. So Watson and Crick, they proposed the helix structure of DNA during this time, and Ziegler polymerized ethylene under low pressure also in this time, 1953. And polystyrene foam was first introduced by Dow Chemicals during this time. You can find that the first production of high-density polyethylene took place in 1955, high-density polyethylene. And during that time, scientists known as Williams, Lantle, and Furry, they established a relation between polymer chains and variation of glass transition temperature. This is one of the important property of polymers. For the end-use application, polymer glass transition temperature is very important. So it is the temperature which the below we can find out the polymer is glassy and above which it is rubbery. So we can rearrange or we can select the polymer based on the glass transition temperature for their applications. And in 1970, another polymer, James Economy developed ethanol in 1970. And during this time, living polymerization was actually introduced. Living polymerization. It is a anionic. There are different types of polymerization, like addition polymerization, condensation polymerization, then copolymerization. But living polymerization is anionic polymerization, where the polymerization taking place in presence of anionic catalyst, and the polymerization will, the anions are actually responsible for initiating the polymerization. So anions will be carrying away when the polymerization takes place, and it will not be actually, the polymerization is not terminated, such polymerization. So we can prepare block of polymers, we can fine tune the structure of the polymer. So it is a landmarking invention in the history of polymer science, living polymerization. Then we can find out that another important invention is polycarbonate, 1953, General Electric. So this polycarbonate is widely used for various applications, like you can find the bottles, the baby bottles, all these become very highly heat resistant polymer. Great balance of stiffness and toughness, heat resistance, electrical insulating properties. They are optically transparent material, thermoplastic. Then this high density polyethylene was prepared in 1955 by Phillips, known as Phillips process, high pressure processing, high density polyethylene. So this polymer offered a good balance of mechanical properties, low specific gravity, electrical insulation, and chemical resistance. So material had few markets in those days. So you can see that the cables were made, wires were made, and you can see this hula hoop. So that is how it was known to the public that time in 1956. So in 1957, the Monsanto House of the Future, they are constructed at Disneyland in 1957, made of polymers. The frame and structure of the house were 100% plastic. So the house featured a number of innovations, including visual font, ultrasonic dishwasher, and microwave oven. This is another important event in the history of polymer science, where artificial hip was made. So this process is a medical implant in human being. So two components are there. One is acetabular component, a socket, and you can find here, and that replaces the acetabulin, and the temporal component known as stern portion that replaces the femoral head. So the femoral head is actually made of titanium, and acetabular component is made of metal shell with a plastic inner socket liner. So the plastic liner is molded from ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene and acts like a bearing. You can find out that. So this ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene is a high-tough, abrasion resistant, and has very coefficient of friction. So therefore, the plastics and metal work together to improve the quality of life has a medical implant. This is a curious picture. You can see that some astronauts are here. This is not a recent picture, but it is a picture from 1969. Human race accomplished the greatest technological achievement of all time when Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon. For example, you can see that Apollo A7L spacesuits were multi-layer plastic structure made from nylon fabric, neoprene coated with the nylon fabric, polyethylene terephthalate fabric, illuminated polyethylene terephthalate, then polyimide film, Teflons, coated fabric. Even their howl, fish bowl helmet was produced from transparent polycarbonate. The spacesuits for today make even extensive use of plastics. This is another picture. You can see Neil Armstrong holding a flag, and this flag is made of nylon in 1969. And this is a lady who is very happy that, showing a structure of a polymer. Stephanie, she invented Kevlar, a DuPont chemist who was actually specializing in low temperature process for the preparation of condensation polymers. So 1961, she discovered entirely new branch of synthetic known as liquid crystalline polymers. She discovered an aramid polymer. So the people were not actually accepted, just like Hermann Staudinger's case. But she later named the polymer fiber Kevlar. It was first marketed in 1971. And this Kevlar is actually stronger than steel. And the density is so low. It is less density, half of that of glass fiber. So we are using bullet-proof vest are made from this Kevlar. They are also using for making radial tie cord, brake parts, racing boat sails, aircraft components, suspension cables. So it cannot be mentioned earlier about Modivar polymer that has no observable melting point, polyethylene, polytetrafluoroethylene, Teflon, polytetrafluoroethylene. And this leads to the development of crystalline polymers 1 year later. And 1971, aramid fibers, ceramide-based polymers were developed 1971, very strong polymer molecules. And this is one of the events where you can see that number of innovations were here. And it is all made on film extrusion. You can see all our film products, film extrusion, multi-layer film extrusions. They were using blown film extrusion process. So packaging application for agriculture application, you can see the package for agriculture application. And in 1974, Edward Clovey, a plastic process engineer from the Netherlands, he developed a process called manufacturing plastic lumbar from waste post-consumer plastic packaging. Waste plastics were especially collected by HDP milk or detergent bottles, and he added wood fiber or sawdust to plastic lumbar for reinforcing as a filler. So the lucrative items, you can see fence was made from this plastic lumbar waste plastics. Then pillars were made. Then the bottles were made. So they are actually found to be durable and they are maintenance free. So recycling and reusing of plastics started there. And this polymer plastic industry actually started replacing steel industry very well in worldwide. And another important event takes place in 1982. We call it prototyping. We call it 3D. Nowadays, we call them 3D printing. It's a new development process, a rapid prototyping process, stereolithography. So we are using, it started with epoxy resin, photoresin resin, and epoxy to polymerize and solidify using this 3D printing method. Now it is a very important area of making products. And then polyether imide is another important polymer where it is a thermoplastic, and we can see that it is a highly thermal resistant, flame retardant polymer. It can be stay up to a temperature of 365 degrees Fahrenheit, extended period of time. Inherently flame retardant and very lightweight. You can see the people working in the area of fire related areas, fire extinguishers, safety areas. You can this the material, the vest or the helmets, masks. All these are actually made from this kind of polymers. And this is another invention in the field of automobile. In 1980, the new Saturn, the first passenger vehicle to make extensive use of injection molding plastics for exterior parts. This is the first vehicle automobile used for extensively in making the polymer thermoplastics. And earlier, most of this Saturn's body was made from ABS, a blend of polycarbonate and acrylonitrile butadiene styrene system. And the use of this polycarbonate ABS gave designates much greater design freedom when compared to traditional sheet metal body panels. So polycarbonate ABS system is lightweight, corrosion resistant, and durable. So you can see that very first Saturn driven out of Spring Hill, Tennessee, assembly plant by Roger Smith himself on July 30. More than 2.5 million Saturns have been produced since that time so far. This is, we are using cell phones, injection molding using polycarbonate and ABS, a blend of polycarbonate and ABS. The compact and lightweight phones of today have one thickness of 1 millimeter. So today we are using this kind of material, polycarbonate ABS system, very lightweight polymeric materials. So here you can find a very large part injection molding machine. We are using it. You can plastic Jeep stuff. They were molded from this very big injection molding machine. This happened.
சரி சரி உங்களதுல வரும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். சரிங்க சார், ஓகே, தேங்க்ஸ். அதுக்கு நான் கூப்பிட்டேன்.
And in 1980, we can find out there is a combination of aluminum oxides. Metal oxides were using for polymerization of olefins. That's more easier way they found. Then another one, 82, we can find free radical polymerized, controlled free radical polymerization. First artificial heart made mainly of polyurethane implanted in a human in 1982. And later in 83, you can see polyether ketone, polyphenyl sulfone. They are specialty polymers, high engineering applications we are using. Dendrimers polymeric dendrimers were first synthesized in 86. Then in BASF in Germany produces polyacetylene, first electrical conductivity with electrical conductivity of copper in 87. Then triangular recycling symbols were related to plastics were started using in 1988. And we have light emitting polymers, polyethylene, discovered in Cambridge in 89. Then the first commercially available biodegradable plastics, Biopol, was introduced in 1990. You can also take a controlled radical polymerization by atom transfer was developed by Somoto and Matsuoki. So in 1994. Polycarbonate panels were also introduced to a smart car during that time. Then we can see that polyurethane foam were introduced for insulation and insulation purpose. And similarly, in 2000, so one of the another landmarking in the history of polymer science, conducting polymers by three famous scientists, Shirakawa, Heeger, and Mac Diamond obtained the Nobel Prize of Chemistry for their work on intrinsic conducting polymers. And in 2001, we can find iPod dreamed up by Tony Fadell, an independent inventor developed by Apple Computers, made from polymers. Then we have in 2005, we can see that NASA explored the advantages of polyethylene-based material with a spaceship that will send man to Mars. 2005. It was in 2005. 2008 Airbus 380 comprising 22% of carbon fiber reinforced plastics. And the Boeing 789, 787 with 100% plastics. It is made of 100% plastics, composite and plastic, up to 50% of material in the plane, 2009. There are so a lot of advantages. In all these areas, we can find mainly three important plastics: thermoplastics, elastomers, and thermosets were used. And there mainly we can classify the applications as structural application, coating application, fiber application, as well as adhesives. The polymer application comes in this line. Then you can see that the various polymers, polymer functionality. Vinyl polymers are double bond containing. Then polymer ethers, we have a oxygen alkoxy group. Polyarylines are there, that means they are benzene containing polymers. Polyesters containing carbon ester group, CO group. Polyamides, NHCO group. Polyurethane, we have NHCO group. Then we have polysiloxane, so inorganic polymers, SiO linkages. Polycarbonate, we have CO linkages. Polysulfone, we have SiR linkages. Polyimides with imide groups. Polyionomers with polymeric structure containing ionic groups. Polyacetylene, the conducting polymers. And these are the various functional groups present in different set of class of polymers. And we are using, instead of steel, we are using plastic material. See, aluminum and copper were really combined in various applications. And these are the polymer nanocomposites as a continuing of the advancement of the polymer science in day-to-day life as well in industry and engineering. People were started using nanoparticle in polymers. So they contain at least one nanoparticle. We can see making polymer composites. So polymer nanocomposites are actually using in every aspect because of their outstanding property. They have improvement in impact strength, optical and altered electronic properties, heat stability, flame resistance, improved gas barrier properties, improved abrasion resistance, reduced shrinkage and residual stress. And these are the various fillers, nano fillers we are using, carbon nanotubes. Then nanosilica is using, part with nanosilica using, then biofibers, flax, hemp, titanium dioxide, various nanoparticles. We can choose according to the property of the polymer and the property of the product we record, and accordingly we can choose the polymer and the nanoparticle or nanocarbon material. These are nanocarbon material we are using. This is the graphene. So the thin layer of graphene, we can see the helical structure of the graphene. So when you're folding them, you can see they are single layer of graphene. You will get a carbon nanotube, or fullerenes we can obtain from them from same. The allotropes of carbon we have graphene, graphite, graphene, then fullerenes, then we have so carbon fiber is also used along with the polymers for making lot of products because of their good strength. Carbon fibers. You can see that the body of this the car is made when carbon fiber reinforced polymeric materials. Then carbon nanotube extensive use about bulletproof vest, anti-ballistic materials, carbon nanotubes. Bulletproof jackets were made from. So it is bullet from penetrating by spreading the bullet's pores. So the Kevlar-based material with the carbon nanotubes or carbon-based nanofillers, they can really act as a resistant for this. So the carbon nanotubes were elastically used. Elasticity of carbon nanotubes were explored to make various composite materials in different applications. Then we have a highly flame retardant polymer, flame retardant polyimide-like material, polyimides. So it has a flame resistance of ceramics competently. Then another one is high impact, hybrid inorganic polymer system. So we have a lot of with silica, rare earth elements like ruthenium and all. So they will withstand the temperature up to 1000 degrees Celsius. High impact hybrid inorganic polymer systems. And lithium-ion battery fires, you can know the polymeric films, polymer electrolytes, polymer separators were widely using as PVDF, polyaniline, conducting polymers. So they were using for making lithium-ion batteries. Touch screens were using flexible carbon polymers with the carbon nanotube fibers. So they so they can be transparent. They are used as touch screen. Even our recent inventions in our TV, mobiles, and electronic items. So this can be used as a low-priced renewable raw material. Can you reuse again in this touch screen? The material carbon nanotubes we are using. Then flexible plastic electronics. So they are very high applications for wearable applications. So the plastics made from even from polypropylene, high polycarbonate, Teflon, so withstanding high temperature. At the same time, they can be flexible. So electronic components are incorporated in them for various applications. And this is another polymer known as Cyto. It's having a high dielectric constant. Fluorinated polymers. You can say fluorinated polymers. Bilayer dielectric is made of the fluorinated polymer known as Cyto. It is completely fluorinated polymer, insulation purpose, high dielectric constant, you can see, with a high dielectric constant metal oxide layer. So we can use it as a separator medium, electrode material, but it can act as a separator. So we can choose, even then the individual components having some drawbacks, but jointly we can use it for various applications. And this is one I mentioned earlier, medical applications, the hip joint, ultra high molecular weight polyethylene we can use. And you can here find the tissues, artificial tissue engineering. It's also done nowadays widely using polymeric material, biopolymeric systems. So artificial muscle tissue that is 100 times stronger than natural human muscles. Artificial limbs and perhaps even artificial heart tissues are also made from polymers, biopolymeric materials. And here see that in your cancer cells are shown here. So that one of the cancer cells trick is that they are able to hide from immune system. So in order to find out this finding out these cancerous cells is very important to neutralize them. So we have polymer nano trainer is using. Researchers have developed a polymer implant attract and trains immune systems to go after cancer. So that it was selectively find out this polymer cancer cell and it neutralize it or kill it. This is another biodegradable polymer where macroporous polylactide, glycolide polymeric matrix used in the study. So safe uses in biodegradable sutures, and they are using is a biodegradable sutures. It's a blend of polylactide and polyglycolic acid. So here we are using the implant. They are using to treat diseases such as arthritis, diabetics, and to train other kinds of cells, including stem cells used to repair or damage the body. So when we are using this polymeric material inside the body, it will not only kill or neutralize the disease-causing agent, but also it will also repair the damaged portions. So that also the research is going in this particular level also. Then artificial bone marrow, we can say artificial bone marrow that can continuously make red and white blood cells has been created in University of Michigan lab, artificial bone marrow. So they are the biodegradable scaffold. Artificial tissues were made out of that. So scaffolds were seeded with artificial bone marrow cells and osteoblasts, another type of bone marrow cells. Bone cells are not osteoblasts. So scaffolds will be filled with this bone marrow and artificial the bone marrow cells. So they will develop like a living cell. So it will designed to function in a test tube, and it works well. This is antifreeze protein, a new protein discovered in tiny snowflake by Kew University researchers. So the lengthen the shelf life of human organs for transplantation. This protein will be good for improving the life of the implants. Yeah, coming to construction application, various polymers were using like epoxies, then high impact expanded polystyrenes in a concrete, and also polymer waste is also, recycled plastic, reusable plastics can be used for in concrete industry, in construction, building construction and all. Then fiber reinforced plastics. It's one of the area where you can see that FRPs for the automobile applications, boats, aeroplane, rockets, and all other areas we can find out this FRP, fiber reinforced with the thermoplastics or thermosetting plastics. And also fiber can be reinforced in elastomeric material, so that it will have the strength of fiber plus the flexibility of the elastomer we can have. So we can fine tune to develop a polymer with either fiber or filler. And liquid wood is another important area. Liquid wood is nothing but containing the natural material like the lignin or cellulose. They are utilizing in polymers, reinforcing to use utilizing for utilize as varnish or paint industry, and so on. So these are the areas, hemp. All these are natural sources. We are collecting them, and they are lignin, cellulose. They are collected, and they are actually incorporated in the plastic granule, and then melted and injection molded. We can use it for various applications. This is another name of metal rubber is in development. It is nothing but conducting polymers. Polymer chemists have created a flexible, indestructible material called metal rubber. They are using ionic components into that, ionic components. So thereby we can improve the properties of the polymeric material and conductive, where flexibility required and wearable. We can use it for in our own body for various applications. Like you can see this. So it can be heated, frozen, washed, or doused with the jet fuel. Still remain its electricity conducting properties. And to make this metal rubber, chemists and engineers use a process called self-assembly of polymeric process. So the material is repeatedly dipped into positively charged and negatively charged solutions. So positive and negative charges are bound, forming layers, and they conduct electricity. So that will be part of, you can see that the layered structure. So that will be part of the polymeric structure. And these are the application. You can see here, this person is wearing a wearable electronic jacket, where he can measure his ECG. He can the blood pressure. He can look in the abdomen, the position like that. Using this wearable electronics made from this metal rubber, so the person's health condition can be measured. It can be applied in other areas where aerospace applications, where defense applications, like that. Aircraft brings artificial muscles and wearable computers. So in general, we can say polymers have really conquered all the areas of human life. not only in our day-to-day life, our household applications, our industrial application, or in engineering application. Like some of them are like a bulletproof polymer, plastic solar cell, implantable polymers, 3D printing application, flexible plastic screen, construction application, energy areas, tissue engineering, and in addition, domestic industry and engineering fields. And there are even then we are still even we have lot of many polymers widely used, but there are 4 important industrially using polymer, common polymer, we call them commodity polymers, very large volume using every day. Like if many materials are made from this polymer, 80% of the world plastics consumption is made from this just 4 polymers. Like polyethylene, we can see they are using for electrical wire insulation, flexible tubing, squeeze bottles, polypropylene, carpet fibers, ropes, pipes, liquid containers, etc. Then you can find polystyrene, packaging forms, egg cartons, lighting panels, electric appliance components, polyvinyl chloride, bottles, hoses, pipes, valves, electrical wire insulation, toys, raincoats. And we will come back to the big problem with the polymer is that it is not biodegradable. And so we have these symbols like the polymers where when you're using, we have to do it by judiciously use our end. So we try to use the reusable plastic so that it can be recycled and reusable. So there are, while in bottles or in plastic items, this kind of symbols were given. Polyethylene based polymer, polyethylene triethalate. As you can see, it is 1. Then high density polyethylene, it is 2. Then polyvinyl chloride 3. LDP, linear density polyethylene 4. Then polypropylene, it is 5. Then polystyrene 6. Then other polymers which are non-recyclable, it is 7. And in the current era of sustainability, we can see that there are a lot of man-made polymers, but we are using in order to, when you look at the biodegradable scenario, these hydroxyalkanates, polyhydroxyalkanate, they are actually degradable one. They are the microorganisms that are their origin. Only 5% of such polymers are using for making biodegradable items, packages and all. 50% of the biodegradable items are made from blended polymers like renewable material like vegetable oil or corn starch, from starch, and 50%. So still we have, there are some developments in Guwahati, Assam, they have developed a polymer, biodegradable polymer, but it is not come to effect so far. This is, we can see that the people, those scientists who got Nobel prizes in this field. 1953, Hermann Staudinger for his outstanding contribution to concept of polymerization. The linkage, monomers are linked by covalent linkages, macromolecular chemistry. So he is known as the father of chemistry. 1962, Watson and Crick for the structure of DNA molecule, 1963, we have Natta and Ziegler and Natta catalysis. They made some special kind of polymers by using special kind of this catalyst, stereoregular polymer, crystalline polymers. So high impact, high modulus polymers are synthesizing by this polymerization process. 1974, we have theoretical polymer chemistry for the polymer solutions, contribution of polymer science, development of theoretical polymer science. P.J. Flory received the Nobel Prize. And 1991, theory of phase transition by Jens. He got this Nobel Prize in Pierre Gilles de Jens. He got this Nobel Prize. And 2000, it is one of the era of conductive polymers. 2000, conductive polymers. 2000, we can have biological macromolecules. 3 people, John, Koichi, and Kurt. So they got the Nobel Prize in 2002. And 2005, olivine metathesis, Robert Krebs, Richard Schroep, and Yves Chauvin for their contributions in the polyolefin preparation and the contributions. these are the outstanding contributions in the field of polymer science and who were recognized by Nobel Prize Committee. And so we are at the end of the slide, and I would like to quote the first. When I started with the Nobel laureate Lord Alexander Todd, 1957, he told that he believed that the development of polymerization is perhaps the biggest thing that chemistry has done, where it has the biggest effect on everyday life. So thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. And we have some questions from the audience, sir. I will read out the question.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes.
One of our audience have asked us. Her name is Tamil Selvi R.
Yeah.
Degradability of polymers and their environmental concerns. So
Yeah.
comment on it, sir.
Yeah, degradable polymers really, I mean, polyhydroxyalkanates are the best polymer which is completely degradable. But we are relying on completely on microorganisms to get the polymer. Only 5% is used. So that's the right step. But we are using a blend of polymer like a starch, corn starch, biodegradable, making biodegradable 100% for degradable. That is why we have a shortage of degradable polymers. The developments are going on, especially with when the problem is that when you have a completely degradable polymer, the strength is not good. If you have a polyethylene carry bag, you can carry at least 5 kg of material. But if you take a completely degradable polymer, so you cannot carry that 5 kg. The weight cannot carry. So it is not durability and strength. Including the find out. I think not disclosed well. The research is going on, and they are trying to commercialize it. And another problem is environmental issue. That is really where we are using it is environmentally harm the polymer. But we can choose polymers such that what we can do is that we can choose polymers such that which is reusable or recyclable, so that we can use it many times, and then after that we can use it for recycle and we can reuse again. So the number of times only single-use polymers should be completely banned, and we don't encourage to use it.
Sir, can you hear me, sir?
Pardon? Yes.
We have another question, sir.
Yeah.
Can you say something about the applications of polyacrylonitrile?
Polymer?
Acrylonitrile. Polyacrylonitrile.
Polyacrylonitrile they are using for making fibers. They are high thermally stable polymers, and when you heat it, it will become a cyclic polymer. And we can use it thermally stable. So where we record this thermal stability, we can use it. Use for making various products. Polyacrylonitrile, and we can make fibers also. Polyacrylonitrile based fibers we can use. We can prepare from that PAA, polyacrylonitrile. And it is also used for making copolymer. Nitrile, that one of the copolymer in ABS. on polymer blend salts.
Excuse me, sir. We have one more questions.
Yeah.
Aluminum is known to cause Alzheimer's disease. As per your lecture, it has been used in medical implants. If so, what the side effect of aluminum in our body components?
Aluminum actually in implants we are using in various places. Metal components we are using. Aluminum is a biocompatible material. I would like to know whether this especially can be used in Alzheimer's or no. It may cause Alzheimer's. What is the question?
Sujata, ma'am, I think your mic is on. Can you please?
Sir, on பண்ணிட்டேன் sir. Sir, are you able to hear me, sir?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am. We can hear you. Can you please make it off your mic?
Okay.
Or something. Sir, the last question, sir.
Yeah.
Do you think a polymer blending is important nowadays? Scopus Journals is not accepting miscibility of polymer blends article. So, can you give me your can you give your suggestions regarding this?
The polymer blending is really an important area where we cannot find we cannot synthesize all polymers. But when you are blending to polymers, we can optimize the property. We can look for a particular property where we want to satisfy the application. But the method, there are a lot of polymer blends now. But we have to, and the reviewers may be looking at how we have done the characterization study. What is the novelty in that? Most of the time these polymers may not be miscible. So simply just taking component A and component B, they are immiscible blend. They may have inferior property, but you have to make it miscible. The miscibility component is important. You can graft a component, use a graft for making miscibility, or dynamic vulcanization we can use. So like that, you have to make some modification and make the polymer miscible, or improve the miscibility of polymer. Then the property will be enhanced. So then you can look for a good publication. Their characterization, then their property analysis will give you mileage. And you can include some nanoparticle or nano components to that also, nano blends, so that you can find that it will be more acceptable. But it is a pure blend, pure new polymers, and you are trying to blend it without any component, but miscibility is there, definitely it will be accepted.
Thanks for the answer, sir.
Yeah.
We have some questions. So I have participants. We have shared SAR's email ID. You can have your questions through his email ID. So now I call upon Dr. M. Sujata for comments.
The best and beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt by heart. Thank you is one such prayer among them. Good afternoon to one and all present here. On behalf of our Department of Chemistry, it's my privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this special occasion. First of all, I submit my sincere thanks to our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Soni C. George, for accepting our invitation without any hesitation, who enlightened us with much valuable information on polymers. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
I render our thanks to our principal, Dr. Deepa Madam, for her constant initiation and motivation in conducting this webinar. Thank you, ma'am. I must mention our deepest sense of appreciation and thanks to our beloved HOD, Dr. G. Rajagopal sir, who is the backbone of this function, for his constant guidance and enthusiasm in coordinating us with all such events. Thank you so much, sir. My heartfelt thanks to our organizers, Dr. Shiva Dayanidhi sir and Dr. Kaniyappan sir, in conducting this function again. Thank you, sir. A special thanks to our faculty, Dr. Vijayan, for his technical support and endless efforts in organizing this webinar fruitfully. Thank you, sir. Our hearty thanks to all the participants throughout the world who made this webinar a grand success. Thank you all. Finally, I thank all the faculty members of our department for their cordial support in organizing this mega event. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So the session is over now.